Thank you very much. Thank you also to the organization of getting the opportunity to make here a short presentation on the SECURE project, a European-funded research project related to the strengthening of the sustainability of radionuclides. This presentation, contrary to some of the other work that has been presented during the last 2 days, will not be of much scientific nature. It will more give a brief overview of the project, the ambitions, the outcomes or the expected outcomes, and hopefully it will trigger your interest. And it's particularly the intention of this presentation to get your interest and to seek for means of maybe collaboration or in other forms try to help each other. I think it's also good to mention that although I'm presenting this work, I'm part of a very large consortium, and there are a number of people from the SECURE consortium here at this meeting. So also feel free, if you've got an interest, to approach them. My talk will be a brief introduction, background on the project, the expected timeline, an overview of the partners involved. After that, description of what the SECURE project is all about, and I will then take you through the various work packages, give you an overview of the objectives, and where already appropriate, talk you through some of the recent highlights. The SECURE project is aiming to make a major contribution to the sustainability of medical isotope production and its safe application in Europe. This is very ambitious, and it's also good to bear in mind that this is focused down to looking specifically at the developments of some of the innovative radionuclides, and specifically the alpha radionuclides, which are also here in this last 2 days a key topic of this discussion. It will look at some key aspects related to the production of these alpha isotopes. However, it's not limited to alpha isotopes. It will also, where relevant, focus on some beta-emitting radionuclides such as copper and barium, where this is relevant and where experience from the alpha therapies can also be used, or from the alpha radionuclides can also be transferred to other innovative beta-emitting radionuclides. For as far as the funding is concerned, SECURE is funded under the Euratom research program. And as I've seen that quite a number of people from this audience are not from Europe. Euratom is the nuclear branch of the European Union and funds this kind of research. The proposal was drafted back in 2021. The project started in 2022 and is expected towards the end of 2025, which means that we are now halfway, and to be perfectly honest, it still feels like we have just started. Here I've got for you an overview on the project partners involved. The project is coordinated by our Polish colleagues from NCBJ. This institute also has been mentioned in some of the other initiatives that were discussed here during yesterday's meeting. The consortium includes some key isotope producing organizations such as NRG and SEK. It also includes relevant nuclear laboratories such as Josef Stefan, but also the National Nuclear Laboratory who is involved. On top of that, we also have got various medical institutes and clinics, such as IRST from Italy. Our colleague Anna Sanelli, who already presented some work yesterday, which is also related to this SECURE project, but also the University of Bretagne, who is also represented by our colleague Julien Bert. and was here at this meeting. On top of that, we also have got some organizations included in the project representing some of the professional areas, such as EFOMP, but also ENAN, is focused on the education network, is part of the project consortium. So what is the project all about? The expected outcomes of the secure project, as described in the proposal, are here outlined and include 4 EOEs. The first one, which is the development of optimized irradiation targets that are interchangeable to allow use within the whole supply network. And this expected outcome primarily, by and large, will focus on the irradiation targets of radium-226. And this expected outcome will also take due consideration of some of the key challenges in the developments of these irradiation targets. Its lack of radium-226, the quality of the radium-226, the required purification that's often needed in order to make it suitable for irradiation, but also the need for recycling these type of targets due to the limited availability are some of the aspects that will be part of this expected outcome. Expected outcome number 2 is strongly related to the EOE 1 and will focus on the development of innovative routes of production of therapeutic and diagnostic radionuclides in the EU. And it will look specifically at the reactor-based methods that are available, but also at alternative methods that might be made available, taking into account the present fleet of facilities and infrastructure that there is available in Europe for producing these alpha radionuclides. Complementary to this, there's an expected outcome related to the clinical aspects of the alpha radionuclides, working on the development of recommendations for implementing clinical trials involving radiopharmaceuticals in the EU. Finally, and ultimately, this project should also contribute to the supply of radionuclides, as again, first and foremost, the alpha radionuclides, to keep them and make them available for further research and clinical trials. The project consists of a total of 6 work packages. And as you can see, apologize, I have to take a sip of water. The the work packages are centered around the expected outcomes that I mentioned in the previous slides. The first 3 work packages highlighted in blue are primarily focused on the issues related to the availability of the radionuclides and focus on the target development, the production routes, but also at the development of generators specifically for uranium-188. On top of that, there is the work package 4, which will focus on the clinical sides, but will also look on all safety aspects, such as radiation protection and waste issues. I will now just go briefly through the 4 work packages, just to give you a bit of a flavor and not to go in much detail. The first work package is dealing with the target development. And it has started, this work package has started with exchanging experiences and information on the available radium-226 sources that are available, its composition, but also performing experimental activities to look at processing and purification of available radium sources, but also to look at the development and making of the target manufacturing This taking into account the fact that the radium-226, contrary to many of the other target material, is by itself highly radiotoxic and providing many provisions in order to make sure that this can be done safely. In addition, also the target material should remain safe when being irradiated. And the outcome of the work package one should really resolve some of the challenges with regards to the availability of radium-226 targets. However, we also have to consider that this is a 3-year project only, and there where we will not be able to resolve all challenges, at least we should derive or describe a way forward for the future. What I would like to mention here as well, taking into account that this is a workshop from the methodology community, one of the issues that I've seen the community also struggling with is not only the measurement of the activity of the targets, but also an accurate determination of the impurities that can be found in these targets. And from what I've seen, some of these challenges really relate to the fact that impurities might be there in the form of radionuclides with very long half-lives. This means that even though they can be present in substantial numbers in terms of atoms, in terms of its activity, they might be still extremely low, sometimes only fractions of a % of the activity of the desired radionuclide. At the same time, even these low activities might have implications due to their long life to both the environment as well as to patient dosimetry. So maybe there's also something for you as a community to look into and provide possible solutions. The second work package will focus on the production routes. It will carry out a detailed inventory of the capabilities and characteristics of both the reactors available in Europe as well as other isotope producing facilities. And it will develop in close links, in close connection with the work package one, possibilities for producing the alpha isotopes, as well as looking at production routes that are suitable and can be upscaled in the long term. The third work package, as I mentioned already, is focusing on the availability of a generator which can be located in a clinic or used by a radiopharmaceutical organization. Rhenium-188 would be a very useful alternative to lutetium due to the fact that it provides for a very high beta emission. Nevertheless, its wide use is hampered by the fact that there is very limited tungsten-186 irradiation targets available. So what the SECURE project is aiming at is to develop interchangeable targets of tungsten-186, but as well develop the dissolution technologies that are necessary and should provide for a generator, for a tungsten-rhenium 188 generator. So both on the target side as well as on the generator side, important developments will be made under the SECURE project. Finally, we come to work package 4, which is related to the clinical side of things, as well as the radiation, but as well will cover all the radiation protection issues. The objective will focus on the development of recommendations for clinical applications. It will carry out a benchmark analysis for radiation protection measures in relation to radionuclide therapy, considering the complete supply chain. And thirdly, a development of recommendations to ensure the safe, but also to provide for a effective treatment, options. This work package is split into 3 tasks along these 3 objectives. So I'm very happy to inform you that for as far as task 4.1 is concerned, dealing with recommendations for clinical applications in the field of alpha emitter-based therapy, a extensive and comprehensive document is close to completion, describing in detail the main physical and clinical characteristics of the alpha emitting radionuclides that we have selected. It also will describe the most recent clinical studies that have been performed and are published. But in addition, it will also describe the outcomes from the discussions with stakeholders and experts in their field on the use of these radionuclides in a clinical setting. The alpha nuclides that are discussed in this document are shown here in this list, and I saw the presentation from our colleague from the University Leuven yesterday, and you can see here that this is a same list of isotopes. The second task is focusing on a benchmark analysis for the radiation protection measures. And there were, I found this very interesting, there were our colleague from Leuven was yesterday making already a sort of assessment on safety and waste. This task is building a bit, building on top of that. It's trying to develop a benchmark for the different radionuclides, considering the different production routes, considering the different clinical applications, but also considering the different radionuclides and their progenies, the different subchains that might be found in different parts of the isotope chain, from production all the way down to patient administration. This task has started with an inventory of all experience that there is with the alpha-emitting radionuclides. This report is reaching completion, and we have now started to part 2, where we have in the process of developing radiation protection scenarios for each of the steps in the isotope chain, start from production all the way down to patient. And the idea is that with this benchmark and the development of these scenarios, we will be able to compare the different radionuclides and their productions in terms of radiation protection and in terms of waste that is generated. And once that's done, this can then also be used as a means of looking for mitigation or possibilities of reducing the radiation protection and waste impact. Last but not least, recently a start has been made with task 4.3, looking at the recommendations for treatment planning and dosimetry. And this will specifically look at some of the challenges related to alpha particle therapy, which also some already have been described. It's challenges in terms of imaging. And this will also focus on the use of the different pharmacokinetic modelings, and challenges and possible way forwards in terms of dosimetry. And it will try to make some recommendations on these topics within this task. So that was just going through the project. This is the concluding slide. As the secure project is primarily about the availability of radionuclides, it's good that after many years of relying on reactor facilities that are already quite dated, that in last year, 2023, at NRG, a start has been made with the building of a new reactor called PALLAS, which should be really a key facility to secure the supply of radionuclides. And it's also good to state that this is not only going to be a reactor, but it will also provide additional facilities, including research facilities, to develop new radioisotopes for the future, and also provide these radioisotopes with high sustainability to really help the clinical, to help the clinics further.